Hello everyone, and welcome to the HO Scale Union Pacific Railroad Evanston Subdivision. This is a special edition video on some items that I picked up from Lombard Hobby. And I usually order them online at lombardhobby.com, but I this time took a trip down and actually visited the shop. It's about almost an hour away from where I live, so I don't get over there very often. But I was visiting my mother-in-law and with my wife, and that's pretty close to where the hobby shop is, so we went ahead and continued from there after our visit and went to the Lombard Hobby shop and picked up some pretty cool flat cars. When I got there, they were just unloading a truck shipment from Walthers. So he pretty much grabbed these off the truck and handed them to me. And they didn't even make it to the shelf. And I bought them pretty much right off the truck. These are the Walthers mainline, which is their budget line. So they only cost me $22. Which I thought was a pretty good price for some nice flat cars. I really like the 72-foot flat car for lumber loads, especially when they have a lumber load. I think it looks, pretty cool. And these are nice models. The detailing is a little sparse. The underbody detail is pretty much non-existent, but I don't really care too much about that. You don't really see it. The printing on the cars is pretty good, if I could get it in focus. And the painting is opaque and looks nice. End of car detail is decent, but nothing like what you would have on a Proto Series or Genesis Series car or Master Line, depending on what manufacturer you're working with. But for $22, this is pretty good. I got 8 of them. 4 of the Opera Window Union Pacific that you can see one of them here that I put on the track. It's the first one that I got out of the box, and it rolls pretty good. Was happy about its rolling capabilities. I've been finding that HO trains do not roll as easily as N-scale, which I don't really mind because it kind of makes you feel like you're actually pulling a train. So the bigger size and the more heftiness and actually having some friction and everything, it's pretty cool to actually be pulling a train, especially with grades on my layout, which I'm so really looking forward to that. In addition to the 4 Union Pacific Opera Window ones, I got some TTX trailer train ones that do not have the Opera windows. These are the more modern ones. These are much more common. You see these all the time. You don't really see the Opera window ones very often, but you do see these quite a bit. So these are the TTX center beam 72-foot flat cars. So pretty good printing. Decals look good. Painting is evenly applied and opaque and everything. So for $22, I'm delighted to have these cars. You need to have these type of cars to kind of build up your rolling stock. I'm going to end up having about 500 cars, so I definitely don't want to spend $50 on every car. It's nice to be able to fill in the cars with some of these less expensive ones. Again, this only cost me $22, which was less than other online shops that had them for $24. So saved a couple dollars getting them at Lombard Hobby. And so altogether, I got 8 of them. 4 of the Opera Window and 4 of the TTX without the Opera windows. I'm not sure what it's actually called, the ones that don't have the Opera windows, but they all roll pretty good. Not like N-scale, but they do all right. So here we have all 8 of them. And there is, like I said, some friction, but they are free rolling. So not so much friction that you're going to have problems going through turnouts, but enough to make it feel like you're actually pulling a train. Pretty cool. All right, now while I was there, can't leave without getting a couple of engines. I did pick up some of the Intermountain GEVOs. And Union Pacific doesn't have a ton of these, but they, if you're watching the Union Pacific trackside, they run these a lot. They have lots of SD40Ns and lots of GEVOs, but they have a lot of locomotives that are in storage. And I think all the Tier 4 locomotives they have on the road. So even though they don't have that many of these, I am kind of picking up more than what I normally would, just because these are the ones that you definitely do see on the road a lot. So I have 4 from scale trains, and I picked up a couple more. So this gives me a total of 6 of these. This one, though, is by Intermountain. I did not get sound on these. I was thinking, well, maybe I'll save some money and see how they operate without sound. And their packaging is definitely unique, also different from Athearn and scale trains, which are both pretty similar. They have a black case here that, and then it's sandwiched with 2 clear cases, and then the locomotive is screwed to the black case, which I found a little bit surprising, but I guess it works. And it wasn't too difficult to get the locomotive off the case with a screwdriver. I would recommend using a little bit bigger screwdriver than this one, but this was one that was right there, so I thought I could go ahead and a little test of strength of my hands there, and I was able to, with some effort, get it off. It was hard. Not a lot of torque there with these, but I did manage to get them off and got the locomotives detached from the case. I did not get sound on these. I thought, well, if I have 3 locomotives running together, if I have 2 out of the 3 with sound, you could, just figure that sound's coming from all 3 of them. And I think that's true. I think you can tell. But what happened when I actually ran them is that even though you can't really tell, I know that one does not have sound. And so I actually can tell, if that makes any sense. I think if someone came in they didn't know, they wouldn't be able to tell. But since I do know, I can tell. And so I did order a Tsunami decoder, sound decoder for these. And I found some on eBay for only $80, which was pretty cheap. So it won't cost me too much more than if I bought them with sound. Pretty good detail on the Intermountain. I think the detail is comparable to what you have with Athearn and scale trains. You can see the chain. I really like their chain. It's kind of like, you can see it moving. So there's actual links. It's an actual chain. So that looks pretty cool. That's definitely a step up from Athearn and scale trains. All right, let's see how it runs. The coloring is a little bit different than scale trains also. So when you have this one running next to the scale trains, they're not the exact same color yellow. But in my experience with weathering and age and everything, you usually don't find 2 Union Pacific locomotives that are exactly the same shade of yellow anyway. So it doesn't bother me too much. So we got it hooked up here. Headlight on, ditch light on. These are very, very smooth running. And the scale trains in Athearn are smooth running also. But these are very smooth running. I would say these beat both Athearn and scale trains on the smoothness. Now maybe it's because there's no sound. I don't know, but I was definitely impressed with how smoothly these run. So I was happy to get these. I did, like I said, get some sound decoders. I'll have to pick up a couple of speakers, and at some point in time I'll go ahead and put sound in these also. Now Intermountain GEVO, Tier 4 GEVOs that you buy with sound actually have the ESU decoders in them. I bought these without sound. I'm going to put a Tsunami 2 decoder in it. So these will probably be the only Intermountain Tier 4 GEVOs that have Tsunami 2 decoders in them. I'm sure there's others out there as well. Some people really like Tsunami 2s. So I'm sure there's other people that have done that as well. Of course, some people really like the ESU also. But as you can see, looks sharp, nice paint job, great details, smooth running. Decals are applied very nicely. So looks good. So while I was at Lombard Hobby, I picked up eight 72-foot center beam flat cars, and I picked up 2 Intermountain Tier 4 GEVOs. And I was very lucky. As I was going to the cash register to pay for them, my wife asked if she could wait in the car. I said yes. So she was in the car when the total came up. Nobody tell her exactly how much that would cost. All right, so there you have the Intermountain and my 8 center beam flat cars. All right, a couple weeks later, I actually did order a couple more engines, this time online. I didn't go down to the shop. I ordered them online. Saw that Athearn came out with some SD40Ns. And I've been a big fan of the SD40-2s. That's one of my favorite locomotives. But as I model modern trains, like present-day trains, it's getting tougher and tougher to model them because they're not, they're very old. They're built in the 70s and 80s. So a lot of them aren't even on the tracks anymore. But the Union Pacific did in 2010, they did update some of their old SD40-2s with new electronics and everything. So these are retrofitted SD40-2s that Union Pacific upgraded in 2010, 2011, and they're called SD40Ns. And so I picked up a couple of these. I really wanted these because I saw them while I was in Utah, and there's a video series on the Evanston Sub called the Wasatch Grade, and they have some video of the couple of SD40Ns. Basically, they're used for the local run, and so this would be great for me to have for not only the local run to the different industries, but also for use in the yards. So there's going to be a yard in Evanston, and then also one at the West Vaco Trona mines. So these are the mainline, or excuse me, Roundhouse series. So these are not the Genesis line. This is the Roundhouse series. So you don't have quite the detail. The painting is very nice. Decals are very nice. You can actually read the SD40-2s. Even though they're SD40Ns, I thought that they put the SD40Ns on there on the prototype, but I don't know. But you do have the ditch lights, which is cool. I had some SD40s, 40-2s in N scale, but they didn't have the ditch lights for the Union Pacific. So it's cool to have the Union Pacific with the ditch lights. Got the yellow sill. So these definitely would be prototypical for being on my layout in the present day. Here's the back of it if I can get it focused. So as you can see, the detail is not quite at the Genesis level or Scale Trains level, but it's decent. I mean, you do have some pretty good detail. The fans look great. Paint is well applied. You do have all the different decals, and they're legible. They do have this removable dynamic brakes if you want to change the decoder. I'm not real too crazy about that. I got to get the wire on the inside. There you go. Because it comes off very easily. I got to make sure. I guarantee you that at some point in time I'm going to try and pick up this engine and end up with just the dynamic brakes in my hands. Hopefully it won't be a case where I pick up the whole engine and then it decides to let go of the dynamic brakes while it's in the air. I'm just going to have to be careful. It does come with 2 bags of details. Here's this bag just has looks like the coupler lever. There was a bag I took out at the beginning that has all kinds of details, so you can add the details if you want to have it to be more of a Genesis looking line. I'm trying to focus here. I'm still always wants to focus on my hands. So I got 4 of these, 2 of the 1574. I'll renumber one of them, and then 2 of the 1923s. So I'm pretty happy with these. They have sound in them, but they have the they don't have the Tsunami. They have the Economy one. Looks like the handle needs to be adjusted there. I'm not sure if it came that way or if my clumsy hands knocked it off. It'll be easy to put it back. Hey, focus. There you go. So everything looks good. The walkways do not have the tread. It's just smooth. So I was a little disappointed about that, but then I was looking at my other ones, and I can't really see the tread when I'm standing next to the locomotive. So if I get up close to it, I can see it. But just in running trains normally, I can't really see the tread, so I'm not too disappointed. Now, there is a difference between the two. The one on the right, the 1923, has the flashing beacons, which is different. The antenna array is painted differently, and then the 1574 has a firecracker antenna. So they're not exactly the same. The 1923 is a remote control locomotive, and in fact, I looked for pictures of it online, and it's all over the Rochelle Global 3 yard. So I probably saw that one when I lived in Rochelle many times. But I'm not sure how we're going to handle that. I don't think I'll have to check out and see if there are any remote control locomotives on the Evanston sub. And if there aren't, also want to know if they have remote control locomotives, do they still sometimes use them on the road, or are they confined just to the yard? So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I might just use them in the Evanston yard. So I have 2 of them that are the beacons with remote control locomotives. So I might put both of them in the Evanston yard. Renumber one of them, obviously. And then the other 2 that aren't remote control locomotives, we'll have them be the ones that are on the road. All right, so here we have them pulling the flat cars, and you can see I did get some lumber loads. This is when I think they look really cool. These are Walthers lumber loads that obviously they made for their 72-foot flat cars. They were like $10, $9 a piece. And so altogether the car cost me $32. So still pretty good. And the locomotives I got again from LombardHobby.com, and they were $175. Other places online had them for $195. So definitely got a good price at Lombard Hobby at $175. And we'll go ahead and back it up. You can hear the sounds. And blowing the horn. I always turn the volume down on these, so volume's not too loud. I like the exhaust sound on these 2 units. You can hear the engine revving down. And I just turned off the ditch lights. The ditch lights are a little dim. Definitely not as bright as the other locomotives I have, so that's a little disappointing. But it's not so dim that it's disconcerting. It's still, you know, it's obvious that you have ditch lights. So we'll go ahead and rev it up here again. See if we can head out. Make sure you stay tuned tomorrow. I am going to do an update on the layout. Did quite a bit since last week. Extended the main line, so there will definitely be some trains running onto the new main line extension that I completed. So I'm going to try and post that tomorrow. I really think I'll be able to get it done. But if I don't post it tomorrow, it'll be up on Monday. But make sure you check that out. It's going to be pretty cool. And here we have a run by. You can see some of the details. Definitely not Genesis, but I think if I add all the details, it will be pretty close. And look pretty good. Again, weathering will always helps. And then you can kind of get a good look at the center beam flat cars also with lumber loads. All right, thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned again tomorrow for the update. Really appreciate you watching this video. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet. That's real important, and also is nice if you like. Have a great day, everybody. See you tomorrow.